Then he said, there's your secret. You've got to get a card and write on it what you want. And all I wanted was some money. You see, I didn't have any money. I had never had any money. And he said, write what you want. And I thought, I want $25,000. Now, I don't know why I picked $25,000. I didn't know anyone with $25,000. And I had never known anyone with $25,000. $25,000 would be like multi-millions to me today. I didn't know anybody with it. Well, he said, Bob, put the card in your pocket and read it as often as possible. Now, let me tell you what happens, because you're going to understand why as I go into this presentation further. When you write a card or write a goal on a card of what you really want, you're painting a picture in words. And that picture is being impregnated into cells in your brain. You may not understand this, but that's what's happening. Every time you touch the card, you carry it loose in your purse or pocket. Don't tuck it away in a wallet. Every time you touch the card, your sensory factor touch is affected. A light message goes screaming through a nerve passageway, strikes those cells in the brain. Those cells are activated, and the picture comes back on the screen of the mind. Now, he sat down with me next, and he put an R on a sheet of paper. Then he put two letters, two H's, and a W beside him. He said, Bob, let that represent happiness, health, and wealth. Now, he said, do you think I'm a happy person? I said, yeah, you seem pretty happy to me. He said, have you ever seen me when I was sick? And I said, no. He said, have you ever seen me when I was broke? I said, no. Well, he said, you're one of the most miserable people I've ever met. And he said, you're always sick and you're always broke. Now, I was earning $4,000 a year at the time, but I owed $6,000. And that's when he introduced me to this book. And this literally changed. I'm still reading that same book. 1 year later, I was earning $175,000. And in a very short period of time, I took that $175,000 and I moved it over $1 million. Now, mentally try and understand where I was. I had no idea what I was doing. Somebody will say, well, what were you doing? I was cleaning floors. I got a bucket and a mop. I heard somebody say there's good money cleaning floors. I said, I'm not proud, I'll clean floors. I started to clean one office, Canada Starch, on Comstock Road. I got $15 a time for washing the floor. In less than 5 years, I was cleaning floors in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, and London, England. My whole world had changed. And I suddenly realized something was happening that I didn't understand. You see, I had been raised to believe, the same as some of you have been raised to believe, that if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. I knew I wasn't very smart, but I was earning a lot of money. I was raised to believe if you're going to build a business, you have to have a good formal education. I didn't have any. And I had a business that was operating in 7 cities in 3 different countries. So you see, as you start to dig into this, things happen to you. Your world changes. But I wanted to know why. Now, a lot of people would have sat back and just enjoyed the good life with all that money. Well, that really didn't turn me on. What turned me on was finding out what happened to me. And so I started to study. Now, I have been extremely fortunate. You see, the book there in front of you was written by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill was mentored by Andrew Carnegie, who started out as a poor boy, came from Scotland, but became the wealthiest man in the world. He spent half his life earning money and the other half giving it away. He shared everything with Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill passed it on to a number of people, but Earl Nightingale was one of them. Earl Nightingale was the most listened to man in the history of the broadcasting industry at one time. He was on more stations than ABC and NBC had combined. I began working with Earl, and Earl passed it on with me. But he not only gave me what he had learned, he introduced me to all the individuals that he learned from. He got me into the books. I'm surrounded by great books today. I have had some of the greatest teachers that you'll ever want to meet. I have shared this information with all kinds of people. There's a good friend of mine who's a psychiatrist in Florida, Dr. John Mike. He said I taught him more about the mind in 1 year than he'd learned in 4 years of medical school and 5 years of psychiatric training. I always found that interesting because it was just a doctor that taught it to me. Now, I am going to go through this, and I'm going to explain some of the things I've learned. And if you grasp this and really get it, you can build that business of yours and help everyone in the world realize the benefit of essential oils. Now think of this for a moment. There's two things you must improve or know to improve the quality of your life. You have to know where you are, and you have to know where you're going. Now that sounds pretty basic. In fact, it's so simple and so obvious, you have to ask yourself, why are so many people stuck?